In many cases, individuals are falling into default or foreclosure because they haven't been able to keep up with the mortgage payments, because they are obligated to a mortgage that severely overvalued the home relative to its current value. So it's certainly a possibility, the possibility that the gentleman describes, where the market rent might be equal to or greater than what the mortgage payment would have been prior. It's also similarly a possibility that the market rent could be below the mortgage payment that the individual or the family was previously obligated to and defaulted on. And I would submit that we ought to at least allow the possibility for the person who prior was the homeowner, who would now be in the position of being a renter, to make that payment if they are able. And if they're not able, to let the process proceed. And I'm out there with hardworking residents, families who are sticking it out in tough neighborhoods where they see a lot of unsavory behavior going down, and they're worried about their kids, and they're questioning whether they're making a right investment in their city by staying in the neighborhood, or maybe even it's not by choice that they're doing so, but they don't have the option of moving out. And so they're doing the best they can, making an investment in their neighborhood, coming out to the neighborhood cleanup, picking out cigarettes from in between the cracks in the pavement, making relationships with their neighbors, and trying to be involved with the neighborhood watch, all of the right things that we would ask people to do. I go to these neighborhood cleanups and I talk to these families, and they say, Senator Chang-Diaz, look at that house over there, that empty shell of a house. There's prostitution going on in there. There's drug dealing going on in there. I'm walking my kids to school in the morning and I see needles on the sidewalk and I see condoms on the sidewalk. What am I supposed to do about this? Do something about this. Help me get my neighborhood back. For 7 years, since my first year in this legislature, some version of this legislation has been pending. I remember fighting for it in my first year here in the legislature, and we didn't get it then. We've been showing forbearance and letting it go through the committee process every session since then. It's time for us to take up this issue now so that we don't have to say, as the gentleman from southeastern Massachusetts rightly said, shame on us the next time I have to go back to a neighborhood cleanup and listen to the person who says, do you see the condoms? Do you see the hypodermic needles? How am I supposed to raise my kid on this block? And to say to them, once again, well, we had to wait and let it go through the committee process. I urge you to vote yes on this amendment. Individuals, community members, families, parents, children who live on the block of a home that has been foreclosed on or is at risk of being foreclosed on and is laying vacant, as the gentlelady from Dorchester has described, and whose quality of life, whose security of their children are ill impacted by this phenomenon of having these empty houses that are magnets and that are havens for dangerous activity, for crime. Many of you have heard the gentlelady from Dorchester, myself, and a few of our colleagues talk about the unfortunate experience of having to attend the funerals of young people in our district who have been drawn into a life of crime or have been affected just by living near others who are involved in crime. These houses are one of the contributing ingredients to that phenomenon. So I add my voice to urge you to vote in favor of this very sensible amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.